First, tell me, what is ego? And explain to me what you think ego is.
Identification with the body, with the material world, something like this.
Maybe, yeah.
Something.
Could
So
be.
it came to the body, a way to deal with the reality.
You went to?
A way to deal with reality, maybe?
Well, the world.
Yeah.
Let's ease up on the reality thing, huh? Okay. There's a million ways to think about this. Every philosophical lineage has its ways of talking about these things. I once wrote a song. It went, I have the ego of a lover, and it's easy to see. The pain of separation is sweet to me. So if you're going to be involved in the path of love, you assume kind of a phantom ego. Because there's love and there's lover and beloved. It's a relationship. But in some lineages, they talk about how there's a merging. There's a oneness. My friend Swami Satyanandan Swami is here, so I'm being very careful about what I say, because he's going to get me later. Personally, I don't think about it much. I found that I had a lot of issues, like self-hatred and shame and fear and selfishness and grief, a lot of stuff. And I kind of realized that stuff colors my experience of daily life. So I just try to work on cleaning that stuff up. I don't think about whether it's ego or not ego, That's just mental masturbation, really. You have to find out who you really are. And you're not going to find it here. So just do some practice. Don't think about it. And try to treat yourself well and other people well. That's the advice that should never be given.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. But I found that most of my hating my ego or trying to kill my ego was in my case was emotional self-hatred. That really wasn't about freeing myself from delusion. It was about that I hated myself. So I wanted to destroy myself. I wanted not to be here. But reality is completely different. You're completely here. And in order to be fully here, sooner or later you have to learn how to be good to yourself and get the things you need so you can flourish and grow. You have to eat. You have to usually have a place to sleep. And clothes to wear and things like that, so you can do the practice that you have to do to find real love. And Ramana Maharshi said that asking the ego or the mind to kill the ego is like asking the thief to be the policeman. There'll be a lot of investigation. No arrest will ever be made. So, good luck.
Oh, hello.
Where are you?
I'm here with the brave young man here.
Okay.
Who wants to fight it with you?
Give the kid the mic. Let's hear what he has to say.
Okay, so because it seems like he wants to fight with you, I have to just tell you that I'm feeling really grateful to be here. I came yesterday from Czech Republic, 8 hours by train with this small little boy.
Thank you.
And
yeah, it's okay.
It's a big joy for me, and I just want to tell you that it's great that you're bringing mantras and chanting to the Western world and bringing it for many people, and you are helping opening heart with love. So just thanks.
Thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Do you know who Pema Chodron is? She's a beautiful Buddhist teacher, incredible being. I learned a lot from her. We were doing some workshop thing together, and she was doing the morning and I was doing the afternoon. And in the morning, somebody stood up and said, Pema, I just want to tell you how much I love you and how wonderful your teaching is and this and that. And she just said, well, thank you. It's always good to hear good things about yourself. So, thank you, you know. I don't have to go, oh, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. That's bullshit ego. Yeah, thank you. I sang in Czech Republic, you know, a few years ago. Well, maybe 10 years ago. Yeah, and he wasn't born either, or he wasn't born, yeah. It rained the whole time we were there. And then I sang in this church, and they were showing us the church beforehand. We went up in the balcony, and there was this small little organ in the balcony. I was just about to touch it like this, and the woman said, oh, you see this organ? Mozart played this. Hey! Whoa, Mozart played it. Jesus. Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
My question is about the meaning of mantra or mantras. I work as a yoga teacher and I started playing the harmonium and sing mantras. And when I did my second teacher training, I had a teacher from India and she told me that it's very important if you sing those mantras, you need to explain your students what you're singing and what the meaning is. So I was wondering, because I read that I noticed that you don't explain what we are singing, what the meaning is, and I also noticed in my in my own classes that I feel like if I don't explain it, the people get more touched in a way, or they open up more.
If you don't explain it.
If I don't explain it.
Well, because you're not giving them something to think about. That's why. Look, you know, there's these candy bars in America. One is called Mounds, and one is called Almond Joy. Almond Joy is just like the Mounds, but it has 2 almonds on it. And the commercial for these candies says, sometimes you feel like a nut, sometimes you don't. That's kind of my answer to your question. Okay, let's get serious. If you want first of all, unfortunately for you, you're talking to me. And I have my way of doing things, which is not the way everybody does things. All the different lineages have their own methods, their own practices. They teach and share what works in their lineage to give you yourself back and get you into real love and free you from suffering. Each lineage has their own way of doing that. So, that being said, for me, the real meaning of all these mantras is the same. The name is the name of that one that lives within us as our own true nature. It's the same in every being. It's the same everywhere. It's that one in which we all live, that lives within us also. And all these mantras, all these names that we sing are mantras, and they're all the names of that beingness, that place, that vast presence. And that's the way I look at it. Now, I was once asked to sing at a teacher training, a yoga teacher training. And so I get there and I've got the harmonium out, I'm all ready to sing. And one of the teachers stood up and addressed the group of, the yoga teacher addressed the trainees. And in the room, they had all the Indian posters of the gods and the goddesses, you know. And she pointed to all these things and said, if you don't know who these goddesses are and all about these gods, you'll never be a yoga teacher. I wanted to kill myself. I couldn't get out of there fast enough, but unfortunately, I couldn't get out of there at all. I had to sing. I put the blanket over my head. What a horrible thing to do to somebody. That's the way I thought about it. So, because from the way I share chanting is the way I do it. There's no philosophy behind it. You sing. There's no philosophy behind it that you have to be thinking about, let's put it that way. You sing, and when you notice that you've been lost in dreamland and thinking and imagining and remembering and planning and blah, 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 you come back to the sound of the name. And then you're gone again. And then you remember, and you come back. And then you're gone again. And the more attention you pay, the more you notice how quickly you get gone. And then you start coming back more quickly. And gradually you get more familiar with being here and not being taken away by your thoughts and emotions and memories and physical pains and all the stuff that pulls us out of ourselves. So for me, it's a very experiential thing. And back in India, in the temple with Maharaji, there were the Hare Krishna, the Vaishnavas from Vrindavan. Maharaji had them come up and they would sing Hare Krishna around the clock from like 5 in the morning to like 11 at night, every day in shifts. It wasn't an endurance test like we would do it. And we used to sing with them all the time. And then one day, one of the Bengali kirtanwalas kind of tried to seduce one of the Western women. And Maharaji found out about it. And in no time, they were all loaded on the back of a truck, driven down to the train, sent home to Vrindavan. So one of the Indian people said, Baba, you just kicked out the kirtanwalas. Who will sing now? The Westerners. Oh, shit. This was terrible news because the little room where we sang was around the corner from where he used to sit. So when we were singing, we couldn't see him. And seeing him, staring at him, looking at him, salivating over the beauty of the body and the blanket and all the beauty in the universe was wrapped up in that blanket. My eyes did not want to leave that body. It was difficult. I couldn't turn away. It was just too beautiful. You know how it is when you fall in love for the first 13 seconds? That's what it was like all the time. And so now we were banished to this room and we had to sing. And not only that, we had one instruction, sing. Nothing about how long. When can we stop? Can we stop? What do we do? It was horrible. But all day long, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Ram Ram. It was like nails on a blackboard. And so your mind, you start, you're asking yourself, your mind to pay attention, but it's just, forget it, I started reliving my life, Yeah, I remember when I was born. I was little. Yeah, yeah. And then you go on, and all the time you're thinking, you're singing, you see. Thinking, and I remember my girlfriend back in America, Hare Krishna. And it gets, wait a minute, she broke up with me. Hare Krishna. Yeah. So days, weeks. And what was even worse, hanging from the ceiling was a big microphone left over from World War I. And it blasted our chanting, our beautiful Western ridiculous sounds to the whole valley. And you could see the women in the field when they were picking potatoes, they go like, oh my. But, you know, and I would try to the bathroom was like in the back of the temple, so I would get up and I'd pretend I had to go pee, and I would walk facing the door to the back of the temple, but I would move like this to where Maharaji was sitting, like I would go. And he'd see me, down, go. So I go to the back and I try it again on the way up, you know, I'd be looking this way, but I'd be walking this way, you know, down. He wouldn't let me come, you know. Yeah. That's what it was like. However, now this is just my experience. If you ask somebody else, I guarantee you'll get a different answer. But after like days and days and days of doing this and going through every possible imaginary space and thought and memory, my mind just gave up. It just gave up. And the mantra became like home. And it came very sweet. And it was just like home. And it was going on. And thoughts would come, and they'd just go, and there was nobody thinking them. It was like a bird flying through the sky, or a cloud. And I don't even remember if I felt like I was singing, but the mantra was going on. And all there was this deep, wide, beautiful, peaceful, loving space. You know? And so, because he forced me, you see, we sing for an hour or two, and we think we're hot shit, you know? But we don't really go through. We keep changing the channel, you know? We don't watch the whole movie, see how it ends. We don't go through the austerity, the fire of going through all these states of mind and letting go and keep coming back again and again. But Maharaji forced me to do that. I would have never done that. Never in a million years would I have done that. But he forced me to do it, and as a result, this is what you get. So he never told me what the words mean. He never told me to learn the words. He never told me what they mean, what to do, how to do it. He never even told us how to sing, like you do it this way or you do it that way. And it just happened. So what can I tell you? I can't tell you anything different. I can tell you, do it. Do it and do it and do it more and then do it more. And then when you feel that you don't want to do it, that's the best time to do it. And keep doing it until you find what you want, because it's in there. And if you don't look, if you don't do what's required to overcome the vasanas of the mind, the way the mind just flows in these habitual directions all the time, if you don't overcome that, you'll never find happiness. If you don't do it, it's not going to get done. That much you have to understand. Now, there's no hurry. I mean, this is, you know, forget this life, just enjoy. But you can't, because it hurts. When Buddha came out of the jungle, the first thing he said was, whoa, stuff hurts. There's suffering. That's the seal of this world. There's suffering, and there's no escape from that suffering in this world. You either get what you don't want, or you don't get what you do want. And there's very little in between on that level. So, whatever way you approach these practices, just do it. Find the way that you can fool yourself into getting into it, you know. Whatever it takes. If you don't plant the seeds, nothing will grow. And we are planting seeds every second of every day. Every thought is a seed. Every action is a seed. Every word we speak, every feeling is a seed. So we're always planting seeds. If we don't start planting the seeds of the things we really want, of the things that will give us freedom and happiness and joy and real love, where do you think they're going to come from? And that's the good news. So, whatever way you think about practice, whatever it means to you, do it. Do it while you can do it. Because when you get old, oy, shit hurts. It gets harder and harder. You know, I heard that when I was young. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I get time. I'm young. I'm not young now. And it's harder and harder to practice. I'm sorry. Really, I am, but that's the way it is.
Hello.
Where are you?
Oh, wow. Here.
Where are you? Yeah.
Well, you probably gave the answer to my question already with your last answer, but I'll ask anyway. Maybe you have another idea to it. How do you experience chanting a mantra with a kind of Western melody compared to chanting it with a traditional Sanskrit intonation? Is there a difference for you, or would you say it simply doesn't matter?
What are you trying to say? That I'd sing in a Western way? I thought I'm singing like an Indian guy. Shit, I'm doing something wrong.
There's so many people saying, it must be done this way, and well...
Yeah, you know what we say in New York, right? You know, you got to find your own way. If it jives with what some group tells you and you like that, fine, enjoy. I don't like that. I'm my own group. It's because I hate everybody. No, I'm just kidding. You know, when I first started singing with people, I sang the melodies and things that I had absorbed while singing in India. You got to understand, I wasn't gathering material for my career because I was never coming back to the West. When I went to India, I gave everything away. I was never coming back to America. Never. And Maharaji, he himself actually got my visa extended. And he kept me there for 2.5 years. And then just before 2.5 years was up, he looks at me and he says, "Go back to New York." Well, Mom, I'm just learning Hindi. Too bad. You have attachment there, you have to go. So, my point was, I wasn't learning things to bring back to the West. So when I came back to the West, I just started singing what I had been singing. But you know, I'm from New York, so as time goes on, the melodies started changing. There's no thought behind it, believe me, I'm not that smart. I just sing. And when a melody comes, if I like it, I sing it. If I don't like it, I don't sing it. I'm very selfish. So I don't know how, you know, certain mantras Now, these are the mantras of the divine name, of the holy name, of the sacred name, of the names of God. These mantras are for everyone. As far as I understand that, you don't have to be formally initiated to do this practice. There are mantras that are so-called lineage mantras that need to be transmitted to you by a teacher. And then you learn how to do it and do it that way. You know, that never happened to me, so I don't know what to tell you. So I just do what I like. And you're here. So.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
It was a long journey for the mic to get here.
Yeah.
Thank you, Katie, for your presence and your song. It's an honor to hear you live here today. Your song, Mere Gurudev, I heard for the first time in December last year. And I had not heard about you before, and I started singing with your voice. And when you sing Samarpan Hai, at that time, I just burst out crying. For 1.5 hours, I couldn't stop. I couldn't understand what's happening inside me. But the journey that you shared about your guru was quite moving in that context. My question here is that you mentioned that we have a shadow side, which sort of...
Don't say had.
Have.
Have a. Doesn't present tense.
Have a, yeah.
Yeah.
We have a shadow side. And when I was crying this 1.5 hours, I was trying to afterwards make sense of it, like what your voice was doing, and I was trying to sing in your tone with B minor and the G note with Samarpan. Like my throat was opening at the same time, and previously I couldn't even speak loudly. And suddenly I'm sort of, not screaming, but really singing your song really high-pitched. It was very, very moving for me, and later on I was trying to make sense what happened. Can I make sense of these emotions? Can I make sense of the shadow, which is probably dissolving a little bit? And in your journey, how do you witness such experience, and how do you make sense of them, or do you make sense of them?
I can't make sense of anything. I don't think about it. Make sense of emotions. Make sense of experiences that are beyond the mind. People ask me all the time things like, what do you experience when you sing? How am I supposed to know? You know, my job, my practice is paying attention to the name, to the sound of the name. Anything else, just let go. I don't write it down, I don't think about it, I don't analyze it. You do your practice and you live. That's the way I think about it. And you do, and you invite into your life the things that help you feel better about yourself and about others. But as far as making sense, that's a big job. Not for me. So you can't, you know, there's so many things that happen, there's so much stored in our subtle bodies, in our so-called emotional hearts and our emotional bodies. So chanting actually allows those things to go away, to dissolve. The repetition of the name. Maharaji said, Ram Nam Karne se sab pura ho jata hai. I'm going on repeating these names. Everything is accomplished. That's a really big statement. And he knows what he's talking about. And he said that. Now, if I really believed that, I'd be locked up in my room chanting 24/7, 365. You'd never see me. But to the extent that I do believe that, it energizes my practice, you could say. But he said this, from the repetition of the names, everything is accomplished. So if you really believe that, I mean, if I had real faith, I talk about faith all the time, you know, I think I got so much faith, but I can't even believe what he says in a deep enough way to actually, for my life to be transformed completely. Yeah, a little bit, it's, you know, just enough. But, so, don't try to make sense of things. How can you do that? Live. Keep going. Don't stop. You know? Keep moving.
Thank you.
Hello.
Where are you?
Here. Hello.
Oh, hi.
Hi. I have one question. When we start to sing again?
2000 and...
No, I mean now. When we start to sing now.
That's what I'm talking about. Yeah, no, I'm saying. 2090 is the next time you sing with me. We'll see. Maybe we'll sing more. But you know, okay, calm yourself. Calm yourself. You know, yes, last night we sang, and tomorrow night we'll sing again. And this is called a workshop where we talk about things and we get to unravel some of the knots in our minds and clear the path a little bit for ourselves. Because everywhere I go, oh, you can't follow me? Oh, I'm sorry. I could speak Hindi. Yeah, I know. You don't speak Hindi either. Okay. Well, then I don't know what to say. But I find this very useful. And it's the same every country, every city I go to. People ask the same questions. They have the same issues. Now, you wouldn't think a German person would have the same issues as a Brazilian person. They look so different, but they have the same issues. I'll wait while she translates. Anyway, the point is, for better or worse, I feel this is useful for people.
Okay, I understand.
Okay? And so, unfortunately, I'm the boss.
Yes, it's just a question.
Oh, yeah, okay. So, the answer is maybe we'll sing before we go home.
Okay, thank you.
Hello.
Hello?
Hi. Here?
Where are you? Where are you? There's so many hands. Oh, yeah. Hi.
Here. Hi. As a child, I was singing a lot and dancing a lot, expressing myself, and then I lost it over the years, and I'm rediscovering that over the past years, and that I still feel there are some blockages sometimes of really fully expressing and speaking in public, singing, dancing, and I wonder how your path was like to really discover your authentic voice, to speak from the heart and to sing from the heart.
You know, there's a story about this old jazz musician. He's like 90 years old, one of the greatest musicians. Everybody knows him. And so this reporter goes to talk to him and says, you know, what was your greatest concert ever? And he said, hasn't happened yet. You got it? I'm too dull to worry about those things. You know, I just sing. And I feel close to everybody, so I don't get scared. I'm not trying to do anything for you, so I don't fail. You know, you don't get off, you don't get off. That's your problem. I'm singing. You know, there's nothing at stake. You know, we're here. I'm singing. You leave, you come. That's good. Thanks. You know, there's nothing at stake here. I'm not trying to entertain you and make you feel anything special. So I can't fail. There's no, you know. When you do all those things that you mentioned, for the sake of your own heart, it won't matter what anybody thinks, and you'll never be afraid. What's to be afraid of? Well, we're afraid of ourselves. That's the main thing. So, but, so just keep doing until you lose that.
You have one of the most beautiful voices I've ever heard.
Oh, come on,
No, you can ask everyone here.
Well, I thank you.
It was a pleasure.
Is it? Partially it's because, there's nothing, I'm just singing, I'm not trying, so it just comes out. It's funny you mention that. The first CD I did was called One Track Heart, and I can't even listen to it because I hear my mind. I was trying to do something, it was my first CD, I'm gonna make a CD, Ugh. It's horrible. Other people like it, and they, I like it, and I like it, yeah. But I hear my mind in it, so I can't stand it. From the next one on, it was like I got really stupid, and so that was good. Get stupid.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hello,
Hello. Where are you?
here,
There.
to
Where?
your left.
Oh, hi.
So I've been listening to the Pilgrim Heart podcast,
Uh-huh.
and I feel like I've already heard every question and every answer at least
Imagine
once.
me.
So it's really nice.
I've even heard what you're saying before.
I hope I'll listen to that one too.
Okay, you will. Yeah, okay.
But I was wondering if you could tell us a little story about Siddhima.
Oh,
A story about Siddhima.
yeah, I know. I heard you.
Asking.
Siddhima was Maharaji's great disciple. She and my Indian father, Mr. Tewari, were, as far as we know, were really great disciples of his. And Siddhima was married, and she was a great devotee of Krishna. She used to go to Vrindavan and when her husband died, her husband also became a devotee later on in his life. And when her husband died, she just moved into the temple with Maharaji and another Ma, Jivanti Ma, the two Ma's. And they served Maharaji for many, many, many years. And we never saw her. She was always in the back, in the culture, the women are in the back. So one night in Vrindavan, we were sitting out in the courtyard in the middle of the night, late at night. Maharaji was on his cot, and we were sitting around him on one side. And these two ladies came out and sat down on the other side. And, I knew it was Siddhima and Jivantima. So Maharaji looks at us and goes, "Oh, who are those ladies?" And I said, "They're your Ma's." Nay, who are those ladies? I said, "They're the mother, like the goddess." Nay, who are these ladies? I said, "I don't know." He said, in Hindi, he said, "Radha Sita nahi hai." Aren't they actually Radha and Sita? He lived in the real world, let's put it that way. And he was cutting through my mind. Ma was so beautiful, and she took such care of us. The Westerners are so crazy. Yeah, we are so crazy. But we would go, after he left the body, she stayed in the temple, and she just lived there, and people started coming to see her. And more and more and more and more people came, and she was, I think she hid herself even better than Maharaji hid himself. Because anybody would come to ask her anything, she said, oh no, just ask Maharaji, go ask Hanuman. She never took credit for anything, for healing and all these things that would happen, these so-called miracles would happen all the time. But she never took it serious, took it personally. It was, I had a really kind of a long-term, very special relationship with her. When Maharaji left the body and a group of us Westerners went back to India. And we got there just after his body had been burned. And then after that, we went up to the mountains to Kenchi for a week. And I went to sleep the first night, and in the morning there's a knock on my door. And I opened the door, and there's this young girl there with some fruit. And she gives this to me. She said, this is from Siddhima. I said, oh. She said, last night she had the first dream of Maharaj since he died, and you were sitting there singing to him in the dream. At least I'm doing the right thing in my dreams. In her dreams. So, she was extraordinary. I mean, she was the perfect devotee. 100%. Anything is just extraordinary. Yeah. There's a beautiful book, written about her by her disciple, Jaya. Very beautiful book. It's on Amazon too, I think, right? So you can read about her too. We were so lucky to have time with the old devotees after Maharaji left the body. We're so lucky, so blessed, boy. And they were so patient with us, believe me. And she knew everything. Just like Maharaji, she knew everything. She didn't say that. She just pretended she didn't know. But she knew, and we knew she knew. And she knew we knew she knew, so that was enough. She was love incarnate, I mean, the sweetest. But she could, if something happened, she could do it. She was amazing. She was the temple that I was the pujari of. It was called Vindyavasini Durga Devi. Vindyavasini means the form of Durga who lives in the Vindhya hills, which is this area in India. And she's a form of Vaishnavi Devi. In other words, there's Shiva Shakti and Vishnu Shakti. Shiva Shakti has certain characteristics, but Vishnu Shakti, Vaishnavi Devi, doesn't take any sacrifices. You can't even break a coconut, supposedly, in a Vaishnavi Devi temple. So, Vindyavasini. So one day in Allahabad, Maharaji was in Allahabad, Siddhima, Jivantima, and they decided to go to the Durga temple called Vindyavasini Durga Deva, the Durga who lives in the Vindhya hills. So they drove to the Vindhya hills, and they were halfway up to the temple, but they had gotten a late start. And so by the time they would have gotten to the temple, it would have been closed. So halfway up, Maharaji says, stop the car, stop the car. So they pulled over and they stopped. Maharaji gets out of the car. Siddhima was sitting in the back seat. He goes around, he opens the door to where Siddhima is sitting. He sits down on the ground and takes all the things that they were going to do, the puja, the worship at the temple, and he worships her. And then the temple was built in the courtyard. So that temple really is Ma's own form too. Siddhima's own form. Vindyavasini Durga Devi. Yeah, she saved my life. More than once. I was always jumping off cliffs. She would just move the cliff, and I'd fall flat on my face. She was, I mean, you have to be one to really know one, but I can still say that it appeared to us that she had become completely one with Maharaji, who was, of course, one with the universe. So, she didn't want anything, she didn't need anything. It was just love, compassion, kindness. It's inconceivable when you meet someone who doesn't want anything for themselves. I mean, it's just different. It's just different. You'll know when it happens, but it's different. It lets you be you. You don't have to be anything for that person. With Maharaji and Ma, we didn't have to be good little boys and girls. They knew everything. What's the sense of trying to pretend you're good when you know who you really are? And they know. And they always find these little ways of showing you that they know, without making you feel judged in any way. It's always with a laugh or a smile. I learned to chant from the ladies when I was living in the temple in 1972. During the Durga Puja time, Maharaji allowed all the ladies to come from the town and spend the 10 days in the temple. In those days, mostly the women, married women, had to stay home in the kitchen. And have you heard of Anandamayi Ma? Anandamayi Ma used to come to KK's house, which was 2 houses down from where Siddhima lived. And she would come to KK's house and visit, and then she would climb up on the roof, up on a ladder, and walk across the roofs into Siddhima's kitchen to visit with her. Because in those days, Siddhima wasn't, she was a young married woman, so she didn't go out much. So Anandamayi would come to see her. When I wrote, my partner, I used to have a record company, and my partner in the company was at a conference, and one of the people at the conference was the head of a publishing company, a book publishing company, and he knew about me, so he asked my partner if would Krishnadas like to write a book, and we could make an offer to him. So I said, no, I don't want to write a book. I was afraid to write a book because, when we talk with people like this, we can discuss, and if I say something you don't understand, you can ask. If you say something I don't understand, I can ask. But if I write it in a book and you read it 10,000 miles away and you get the wrong idea, that's not good. So I didn't want to write a book. So when he made that offer for the book, I said, no, I'm not going to write a book. So about a year later, there's another conference, and the same guy tells my partner, he said, that offer is still on the table. And I said, no, I don't want to write a book. But if they double the money, maybe I'll think about it. It was already a lot of money, but I figured there's no way, right? They double the money and then I'll do it. Well, they doubled the money. And I went, oh shit, now what? So my friend Nina Rao was on her way to India. So I said, you're going to be with Ma. Ask Ma, tell Ma I'm not about this book thing, and tell her I'm not writing it without blessings. Because I didn't want to hurt anybody through misunderstanding. So Nina is with Ma, and she says about the book. So Siddhi Ma says, she closed her eyes for a minute. She said, Ma, you know, there's this thing about Krishnadas in the book. She closed her eyes for like a full minute, and then she opened her eyes. She said, I have to think about this. And then in the 10 days Nina was there, she never mentioned it again. So I had a friend who was acting as my book agent. So I said to him, forget it, I'm not doing the book, you know, because she didn't say anything, I'm not doing the book. He said to me, let me get this straight. You're throwing all this money away because some woman in India didn't say something? I said, yeah. He literally went crazy. He walked around New York City for 3 days like, huh? Like a homeless person in the street, huh? So then about 6 or 8 months later, I was in India. I was in the temple with Ma. And I'd been there for weeks, and we had talked quite a few times. And so she was getting ready to leave, and I was going to spend another week or so in the temple. So when I was with her, she said, you have any questions? I said, no, nothing. You sure? There's nothing you want to ask about? I said, no, nothing. You sure? I said, no, there's not. Oh, the book thing. She says, yeah, you write a book. So I went up to my room and I spent a week sitting on this porch up above the temple, kind of, and I just looked out at the temple and I saw everything, you know, that had happened over the years, and because it all happened there, and I just wrote it down like that, and that was the book. But she knew, you know, it was strange. Yeah. Oh, go ahead.
Some questions about your singing. When you are singing, or while you are singing, what do you feel? What do you experience? Do you feel connected with the people around you? Do you imagine the presence of the Godhead for which you are singing? For instance, Hanuman mantra, do you imagine the presence of Hanuman? Krishna mantra, do you imagine the presence of Krishna? What is your inner...
Keep going. Give me some more options. I don't know. All I'm doing is chanting, paying attention to the sound of the name. Maybe some of those things happened, maybe they didn't. I don't remember. It's not my job to think about that stuff. It's my job to remember the name. Anything that comes through, let it go. Because one of these days, nothing will come through. And that will be good. Then I'll be filled, fully present, and one with the space, with the presence. Everything else that comes has to go. So, let it come, let it go. When I chant, if you insist that I say something, I am singing, I feel like when I chant, I move deeper into the presence of my Guru. And that presence is not thoughts, it's not experiences, it's not one thing, it's just a feeling of being and presence. There's no stuff in it. you know, is full and empty at the same time. And that's all I could tell you. Teak? Okay? First of all, and if I did say something, I mean, if I was, some people, you know, if I said, oh yeah, I have this experience, then you'd be looking for an experience when you chanted. That would be a disservice to you. A disservice. Because that would keep you stuck somewhere. You have your experience, you do it your way. It's your paper bag you have to fight your way out of, not mine. Yeah, hi. You're on.
Hello, Krishna Das.
Hello.
I am Gabi. This is my first concert with you.
I hope you live through it.
The problem, my English is no good. You
I'm
speak
sorry.
very, very hurriedly and no clearly for me. This is, I'm
Okay.
a little trist.
I'll do the best I can.
I don't understand.
I will do the best I can to talk
Yes.
to you.
Yes, I think this is a concert, but it's a workshop
Yeah.
with many words.
Yes, I'm sorry. Can you come tomorrow night? Yeah.
Repeat slowly.
Tomorrow night we sing.
Tomorrow?
Tomorrow night.
Tomorrow.
And
Yes.
I will put you on the guest list. You can come tomorrow.
It's clearly tomorrow. In which time? Was denn? Jetzt muss ich jetzt.
Who speaks German? You can tell her 8 o'clock tomorrow. Uta.
8 Uhr, hier. Du bist der Einzige, der auf Deutsch kann. Ich muss das nicht bezahlen. Ah ja, thank you very much.
Danke schön. Good night.
Hi, Katie. Here.
Hi, where are you? Where are you?
You're here.
Hello.
Hi.
Hey.
Hi. I was just wondering when you were speaking about this state of just being compassion and being love and not taking anything for yourself anymore. And I love that. And at the same time, we know that we also kind of need to take care of ourselves and need to take things for ourselves and
Sure.
set boundaries and
Sure.
So
Yeah.
I wonder, how do you find the balance?
There's no balance because you're not being compassionate, you're not being kind, you're not doing that. Real compassion is just natural. There's nobody doing it. This is not a goody-goody trip. You know, we're not out here, we're not the Salvation Army. You know, we're spiritual seekers. And the Buddha said, in the whole universe, you will never find anyone more deserving of love and compassion than yourself. So if you are not separate from the universe, if there's compassion, you're involved, you're also part of that. It comes from experience, not mind. I got to be this, I got to do good, but I shouldn't take from myself. You have to eat. How difficult is that to understand? You have to eat. You don't have to eat enough for 20 people, but you can eat for your own health. If you're not healthy, how can you help anybody? And you can't even do practice if you're not healthy. So we have to take care of ourselves as best we can. There's no conflict at all. None at all. There's no conflict. The conflict is when you start thinking that you're different than other people. which is what we do. We think that we live that way. So that's not real compassion. That's what the Lama used to call idiot compassion. You think you're doing good for others and starving yourself to death. That's neurosis. And neurosis takes over the spiritual practice very quickly. It's very sneaky. Yeah.
And what if others are taking advantage of your compassion?
You have a baseball bat? Give me an example of someone taking advantage of compassion, your compassion, or make something up, but give me a...
Let's say you feel like you feel that somebody needs something and you want to... That's a really good question.
It's just us folks. You can...
Yeah, I'm just thinking of a situation where you're not really clear about what you want, and then you're doing something, but you realize maybe it's not coming from your heart, but you're just doing it, and it's not really good for you.
Mm-hmm.
And this other person might ask more and more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Many of us have problems with boundaries, setting healthy boundaries for ourselves. There's nothing wrong with setting a healthy boundary for yourself. It means you care for yourself. It means you want to do good for yourself also, don't you? I mean, not just for everybody else in the world. You would also like to feel good. So we have to learn how to do that. But many of us, our boundaries have been just trampled by our parents and by different situations in life. For instance, I never learned how to set healthy boundaries because my mother just used to crash over them. You know, I tried to lock the door, she'd break the door down if she wanted to. You know, I needed to protect myself. But that's not healthy. That's out of... You know, that's already a neurotic thing. It's necessary, but not healthy, right? So to set healthy boundaries means that you see things more clearly, you know, you recognize that you know, I guess for us it's hard to tell when it's an emotional kind of thing. You know, we want to help somebody, we want to make them feel good, and we're almost giving ourselves away to do that. And a lot of that comes because we want to feel good about ourselves also. So we're thinking, you know, it's hard to see that when you're really in it, but a lot of the times you can, if you slow down, you kind of sense there's something going on in there that's like something fell into the soup when you weren't looking, you know? You can taste it, but I don't remember anything falling in there. But it tastes weird. And that's something you learn as time goes on, how to be more aware of our own needy motives, you know, because a lot of the stuff we do with other people and in relationships, all relationships, not just romantic relationships, are based on a need that we have for something. And so once you're in that kind of emotional give and take thing, that's when you get taken advantage of, and because you want something from that person, and in order to get that, You've already given yourself away, and now that person's going to take more, and it gets pretty messy. So I used to tell my Indian, Mr. Tiwari, everything about my life. So one time I had been talking about my girlfriend for about an hour, and he said, TK, listen, yeah, okay. When I finished, he looks at me and said, my boy. He was always saying that to me, my boy. He said, relationships out of business. He said, do your business, enjoy, do your business. But love, love is what lasts 24 hours a day, 365 days a year. So we're all so hungry for love. We'll do anything, we'll give anything away to get it. And you can never get it that way because it's who we are. It's not what we get. You can't get it from anybody. But we don't know that. We might be able to say it up here, but when it gets into the nitty-gritty, we fall in love and then we're fucked. Sorry. Sometimes you just have to say what you have to say. You're welcome. So I hated him when he said that. It took me months to get over that. I hated him when he said that, but he was so right. We're human. Come on, let's face it. And we're human beings. We're full of all kinds of things. But our hearts are good. But we don't know that. So we're always looking for somebody to give that something that makes us feel better. And that's where we lose our boundaries. That's where people take advantage. And that's where we get hurt. It's hard. It's hard. It's hard to let somebody be who they are, especially in a relationship. We want them to be who we want them to be. But they don't want to be that because they're already themselves. How can they be who we need them to be? It's very difficult. So then we start getting angry and manipulative, and they get pushed around, and they get angry, and then you're in a real relationship. But to be in a relationship where you really let the person be who they are, and that there's affection there, and you don't always necessarily get what you want when you want it from that person, but it's okay. That takes a little bit of growing up, and growing up is hard for us, really hard for us. We don't want to grow up and take responsibility for our actions and for making ourselves happy. It's not easy to grow up. But good luck.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Katie?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm
Sir.
right here.
Sir, ma'am, where are you?
Right here.
Where? Oh, hey.
Do you take requests?
No.
I won't make one then. The Neem Karoli Baba chant?
Maybe.
Maybe?
Maybe
one day.
We'll take a vote later. Yeah, I was thinking about it earlier. We'll see. Yeah. I know her very well, so I can be a jerk to her. Oh, who else? What are you asking a question for? You can write to me. Give somebody else a chance. Yeah. Yeah, right there. Oh, sorry. I'm not supposed to do that. And while we're waiting for that mic, we have right here. Go ahead.
Hi.
Hey.
I feel super honored to be here tonight. I have a question. A quote came to mind. I think it's from the Bible. To be in the world, but not of the world.
Mhm.
And I was wondering if you can share any sort of thoughts on how to be in the world. Thank you.
Well, you know, there's a great poet saint of India named Kabir, and he wrote many extraordinary song poems. And one thing he wrote is, Kabir goes through the marketplace, but neither a buyer or seller is he. So to be in the world means to be in the world and not of the world, means to not to be fooled by thinking you can get something that you need from the world. I mean, you can get clothes, a house, a refrigerator, a television, a partner, you know, all those things. But happiness, you can't buy or sell that. So to be in the world but not of the world means to be here, but not buying or selling, not engaging, not thinking you can get something where you can't get it. And then you're happy. So, there's a lot more to say about that, but I think that's the basic thing. You know, we have this fantasy that one day we're going to find, there's a button we're going to find, we're going to push that button and everything's going to be okay from now on. Not going to happen. Sorry. That doesn't mean that there isn't a button, but it ain't out there. But we want it to be out there because that's what we know. But the button is looking through your eyes right this second. It's not what you're seeing, it's what's looking through your eyes, your own true nature. Your consciousness, your awareness, your being. That's the button. You already have it. But, all right?
Hi. Here.
Where are
Here.
you?
Hi.
Yes, hi.
Hi. When you said you walked into the room and you've seen your guru for the first time, you said it became true. It became real.
Yeah.
What is the it?
What is the it?
The it. How would you define it?
Very simply for me, it was Maharaji. That was the first time I felt him. And I mean, very simply, yeah, I walked in the room, boom, because I was looking for him and I didn't know that he existed. But I had that longing very strongly. And then there it was. It was, it exists, really. But I didn't know it was him. And who is he anyway? That's a whole other story, right? But he's not that guy in a blanket. But that was it. That was, you know, the guru for me. He's still really busy, you know. He's really doing, you know, there's a book just came out called Whispers in the Heart. And there's stories of people who met Maharaji who've never met him physically. They either came in dreams or they had some experience. It's a whole book of people. And there's more. It's like 100 books could be written like that. So these great beings are always available, but we don't know how to look. That's the issue. Right now. But we're too busy. Our thoughts, our emotions, we're glued to that stuff. So that's why chanting is such a great practice. You sing, and then you notice you've been gone for an hour. While you've been singing in a room full of people who have been singing, you've been just, oh, and then you're back. right? Every time you come back, the glue that sticks us to those thoughts and those emotions and those habitual stuff, it gets a little thinner. But it's really thick. So it takes a while before we can feel that. But think about it, okay? So here you're singing Sri Ram, Jai Ram, Hare Krishna, whatever. And you're thinking about, what you're going to make for supper tomorrow night, right? And then you realize that, oh, I haven't been listening, I haven't been paying attention, right? How did that happen? How did that moment arise where you woke up from the dream that you were in and recognized that that even though you've been singing and hearing the chant going on, you haven't been there at all, you've been somewhere else. How did that happen? We know that nothing happens without a cause. Cause and effect. Then effect becomes a cause of the next, and then that cause becomes, it's cause and effect and cause and effect. If you woke up, you must have planted the seeds to wake up at some point in some lifetime, or you would never wake up. You wouldn't even think about it. And of course, thinking about it isn't it anyway. And then just think of all the people in the world who don't give a shit about this stuff. It's not that they don't want to be happy. It's not that they don't want to be free of suffering. It's not that they don't want to find real love. It's that it just doesn't arise in them, that it's even possible. The seeds haven't been planted. For better or worse, we have planted some seeds, or we wouldn't be here. So, we could give ourselves a little credit once in a while. Where'd she go? Anyway. Yeah, right? Because we did this.